Before we get into the review for Borderlands 4, I just want to give a big thank you to all my new subscribers and viewers out there. You guys are amazing. I love you, and let's get into Borderlands 4. The Borderlands series has always been something of a gamble for me. Sometimes you get lightning in a bottle, like Borderlands 2, which delivered a near-perfect mix of humor, loot-driven chaos, and memorable storytelling with Handsome Jack. Other times you get entries like Borderlands 3, where the gameplay was enjoyable, the best at the time, but the writing and pacing left a bitter taste in my mouth. Not to mention some very questionable lore decisions and just overall cringy dialogue. With Borderlands 4, I went in cautiously. Could Gearbox really recapture that magic without repeating the mistakes of the past? After spending dozens of hours in the game, I can say this about Borderlands 4. Borderlands 4 is a much needed return to form in many aspects, offering a stronger core experience and plenty of reasons to keep playing. But at the same time it struggles, right? The issues so glaring that they often overshadow the progress they've made. At its best, Borderlands 4 reminds you of why I fell in love with the series in the first place. The looting and the shooting is as fun as ever, and feels more refined compared to recent entries. Weapons don't just look different, they feel different in your hands. The recoil, the fire rate, the firing modes, etc., right? All these unique gimmicks create moments where I would stop mid-combat just to test out new guns, and just see how they would feel, regardless if they were good or not. This isn't just random chaos, it's a game that clearly puts effort into the synergy between weapons, character builds, and abilities. Each vaulter has their own unique playstyle, and experimenting with skill trees gives real depth to the RPG side of things. I find myself constantly tweaking my build, hunting down gear to maximize a particular setup, and enjoying the progress between becoming absurdly overpowered in creative ways. The sheer variety ensures no two players will ever have the exact same experience when it comes to their builds. Whether you're building for elemental damage, high burst crits, or survivability in co-op, there's always a new way to play this game. And at its heart, Borderlands and Borderlands 4 absolutely nails that aspect. One thing I really do like is, prior to Borderlands 4, I always felt like Borderlands 4 was in fact a open world game. Yet the older games were segmented by loading zones and split up into different areas, but just the way it's designed just felt open to me. Borderlands 4 moves towards that more seamless open world structure, and that's a game changer. Exploration feels natural and rewarding. You can jump into vehicles and drive across massive landscapes, discover hidden areas, stumble into fights. Like, the world is dotted with collectibles, safe houses, silos, but unlike past entries, it doesn't feel like filler. Most of these side activities tie into progression in meaningful ways, and actually reward your curiosity rather than just wasting your time, in my opinion. And world bosses add another layer to it. You risk high-risk encounters scattered across the map. Taking these fights, either solo or with a group, makes exploration feel dangerous, but exciting. The overall world design takes a lot of inspiration from the likes of Destiny, in terms of movement, the world bosses, and just little events here and there, even world events, some I haven't done yet, but a lot of the open world is very much inspired by Destiny, and I can't help but make comparisons to Destiny in this review, but I digress. And as you play through the story, you'll probably recognize that the game has a much more mature and darker tone. One of the biggest complaints for Borderlands 3 was its writing. The humor often felt forced, the villains were very annoying, the story often veered into very cringy territory, but Borderlands 4 course corrects this by taking a more grittier, more grounded approach to it. It doesn't mean it abandons its humor at all. The series DNA is still very much intact, and you'll see more of this Borderlands more like humor in side quests, where side quests often embrace the absurd with plenty of over-the-top moments and goofy characters. But the main story keeps things a bit more focused and serious enough to stay engaging. The darker tone makes the stakes feel higher, and characters feel less like parodies and more like people. Well, people in the bizarre Borderlands universe, that is. Even Claptrap's been toned down a bit. And if you're still not a fan, the game finally gives you an option to adjust the voice volume separately, but more of a small but glorious quality of life improvement. Not too crazy. Before I get into the cosmetics and just all that stuff, at launch there was a pretty funny bug where, like, I think most people were given a certain outfit that was supposed to be a part of a paid cosmetic pack, but has since been removed. A lot of people were upset about it. Me, myself, I wasn't too bothered by it. I was like, oh, because like by default you're given like 2 outfits in the game, and there's like a third extra cool one. It was nice, but it was a bug, and I just thought it'd be pretty funny to mention here. But yeah, let's get into customization. The customization and side content in the game is honestly very staggering, and honestly found most of it to be very enjoyable. ranging from cosmetic tweaks to functional upgrades. Each Vault Hunter has multiple builds that feel viable and fun. It's not just about mirror different stats, right? The way you play can change dramatically based upon your skill investment. Guns can roll with different parts, traits, and special effects. Chasing down that specific weapon variant that you want for your build can keep you busy for hours. And for the vehicles, customization extends even to your ride. Skins, models, performance upgrades can all be unlocked by simply playing the game, which makes progression feel organic instead of just really grindy. Even your Echo unit has some customization stuff you can do. Little hats, little patterns here and there. Now to talk about the not so good things. For all the good Borderlands 4 has done, it has some serious problems on the technical side of things. Performance and optimization are very rough across the board. I've seen stuttering, crashes, super long shader compiling times every time you load the game. Even on a decent PC, and console players aren't very much better either. The fact that high-end rigs are struggling is unacceptable for a game this big, right? Beyond performance, there are bugs, glitches, and that break immersion and outright ruin sessions. Quests bugging out so they can't be completed. Items disappearing from your inventory. UI problems crop up far too often, losing progress or even gear sometimes. And crashes are very infuriating. Multiplayer disconnects can sometimes strip away skill points that you've earned in that session. A brutal punishment for something out of the player's control. And UI and inventory management needs some work, man. The game's so focused on loot, it's baffling that gear management and tools are still so clunky. Instead of feeling like a treasure trove, the inventory often feels like a mess you're forced to shift through. And while narratively, Borderlands 4 is a massive improvement from 3, it isn't flawless. The darker tones make the main story a lot more compelling than Borderlands 3, but it still doesn't hit that emotional high that I felt in Borderlands 2. And that is honestly suggestive, like, you might like it more, less, but that's just me, right? Some characters so far feel underdeveloped, and the ending doesn't quite deliver on the punch it could have. That said, compared to Borderlands 3's writing, it feels a step in the right direction, and a shift away from the endless, cringy banter is a welcome relief. And the community's response so far seems rather split. On Steam, reviews are mixed, with most criticisms focused on performance, and yet the current player count remains high, which tells me people are willing to endure the rough edges because the core gameplay is just that strong. Gearbox has already rolled out some stability patches and promised more fixes in the future, but their communication has always landed well. Comments from leadership about hardware expectations, implying players should have had the latest GPUs right off the bat, came off as dismissive to many fans, myself included. Brushing aside those concerns often doesn't sit right with me, but I digress. Borderlands 4 is a game of contrasts. At its best, it delivers some of the most fun and amazing gameplay the series has ever seen, with stronger world building, better tone, and enough customization to keep me hooked for months. At worst, it's bogged down by crashes, performance woes, and lack of polish that constantly reminds me that this game launched way too soon. Would I recommend it? Yes, but with a caveat. If you can stomach technical issues, and you're willing to wait for patches, Borderlands 4 has potential to become the best in the series. Maybe even surpass Borderlands 2 at some point, once it's all ironed out. But as of right now, it feels like a diamond in the rough. But that's okay. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Peace out.